All right, we're live. We are live. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Yours truly, Dr. Pierre, favorite board certified internist, host of many things, especially the Real Physician React series, where we just talk about things that kind of come across the timeline. And boy, oh boy, this week we had a lot of stuff pop up. But more importantly, we had a disease that we have talked about here on this show in the past. It got a lot. And I do mean a lot of discussion and fanfare when we did have the outbreak that occurred in 22, right? 2022, 2023-ish, I think. Yeah, around that time frame. And just this week, I posted a video where the W.H.O, World Health Organization, probably an organization that is hated on as much as the CDC, weirdly enough. I don't know why, but it is. They declared a public health emergency, a global, because it's the World Health Organization. So they declared a global health emergency for monkeypox. And we kind of discussed a little bit about the rise in cases, rise in fatalities, who's being affected on it. Definitely check out the profile and get that clip if you have not had a chance to check that out. So today we have a news report that Sweden reports its first case of infection, obviously outside of Africa, right? Because I think a lot of times, right, when we talk about certain diseases, if the disease doesn't affect us, or we don't think it will affect us, we don't really give it the energy that it's needed, right? I understand, right? We got busy lives, things are happening, right? Especially if you're here in the States, right? You got presidencies and all this stuff like that. So I know there's a lot of things are happening. But when WHO declares this emergency, you best believe that we need to kind of keep an eye. Because, remember, it's summertime, right? Everyone's outside. Everyone's traveling. Everyone's doing them. And the world is a lot smaller than we may think. So Sweden reports its first case of monkeypox outside of Africa. So now, did it report its first case period? No, it's had cases before. But the first case of this strain that we talked about, and I had to do some, I do my research, right? I got to make myself look a little good, right? The clade 1 variant is what's causing a ruckus right now. If we rewind ourselves in time when we were really talking about monkeypox, especially when it hit down here, we were initially talking about the clade 2 variant. Now, what are the differences, right? And again, this is not a science discussion, so we're not gonna go nitty gritty, but we will. Obviously, we're gonna explain it to, especially my audience. For those of you that know, I have a podcast and whatnot. My audience isn't the sciencey folks, right? Like they want to be able to take this information and break it down simple, and to be able to kind of run with the information to whoever they need to run with. So, 2 versions, right? In 2022, we were talking about strain 2. That was the one that caused the outbreak. That was the one that, caused a lot of people to, avoid the gyms, and they're spraying bleach everywhere and everything, right? Especially, obviously, we don't want to talk about the C word, right? I know some people don't like when I talk about the C word. I know some people don't. But when we talk about COVID, right, a lot of people are like, I ain't really, whatever, I don't see it. And it's because a lot of times COVID doesn't, you can have COVID and not look like you have COVID, right? Just from afar. But when people started Googling what it looked like to have monkeypox, all of a sudden there was a lot of fear. There was a lot of concern, right? There's a lot of issues kind of going on in that regard, right? So we talk about monkeypox. We talk about this strain here. What are some differences? One, we know that this strain is more transmissible, right? What does that mean? That means that, guess what? More cases, right, can be spread because of the disease. What does it also mean, right? It's highly virulent, meaning that the fatality rate is higher with this strain than the version 2, right? Clade 2. So you have a strain that can spread more and is more deadlier. That right there is why you have a global health emergency declared. That right there is why you would have a global health emergency declared. And again, in the Democratic Congo, we had 14,000 cases this year. Over 500 people died from this strain. We had about 70% of kids being affected by the monkeypox virus, right? So we already have some concerns that if this strain that is more virulent, aka fatality risk is higher, and spreads more, right, it can be a problem. So which is why, again, I know when people hear, and it's weird, right? And I'll do a quick caveat. If the CDC right now says, hey, you know what? That meat from Publix, Winn-Dixie, Walmart, that lunch meat, it has listeria. Guess what happens, right? People like, hold on, is it my lunch meat? They know they don't touch me. They won't touch nobody's meat for a little bit. But for some reason, when the same organization says, hey, you know what? This virus, this disease may cause an issue. You might want to wear a mask. You might want to wash your hands. You might want to get your hand sanitizer. I don't know. I don't trust the CDC. CDC this. Like it becomes an issue of trust. So now when we fast forward and we think about what WHO did, WHO says, hey, you know what? We're seeing cases increasing. We're seeing deaths increasing over here. And we know that it could be a problem. Why? Because everyone is outside. Everyone is outside. They're frolicking. They're moving. So we know that, yes, the disease may be endemic to this area here, meaning that it typically lives here. But that does not mean that it will only stay there. And for a lot of us, kind of out of sight, out of mind. If we think a disease only stays there, we're like, okay. All right. Good luck. Africa, good luck. But once it starts jumping places, all of a sudden the threat level increases. The threat level of concern, I should say, probably more increases, right? Because it's as bad in those areas as it is in these areas here. All right. Well, I see a lot of people talk about COVID. We're not talking about COVID today, y'all. We're not talking about COVID. It's monkeypox. This is monkeypox. Let's focus. I know the COVID's there. We can always talk about COVID, but we're gonna focus on monkeypox right now. And for those who may need a refresher, I do have an infographic on my website. You got to go link in bio, and you got to do those things there. You got to look for it, right? I think, if you go to my bio, in fact, I might have a video. No, definitely go to my bio. It's there. It's on my website. It's on the infographics. It's there if you want just a quick little refresher, but not important right now. Right now, we just need to say, all right, and I'm assuming, right? I'm gullible, right? I'm naive. I'm assuming that I'm only talking to the people in the United States, because typically the people in the United States, unless the news is hitting them 24/7, they don't tend to care as much. So unless the news is hitting them 24/7, it's like, So I know when I say, it's in Sweden, all of a sudden eyebrows start getting raised. All of a sudden, hold on, if this thing can get to Sweden, I wonder if it can get to the U.S. And remember, just to recap, I just want to recap. In 22-23, when we had the monkeypox outbreak here in 22-23, it was the clade 2 or clade. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Clade 2, maybe clade 2. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's CLAD 2. That was the version that caused the outbreak here. Now, again, some features of what the old version is versus what's going on now. Old version, I got my notes here. I'm ready for y'all. Old version found in West Africa. Generally causes milder disease with a lower mortality rate, less than 1%. Initially limited human-to-human transmission, but it can show a little jump if need be. It's typically, from a virulent standpoint, less virulent, reduced replication and lethality in animal models, which essentially means that if you do get it, the likelihood that it's going to kill you is less. And they found that in animal models that they did. So now let's fast forward. We're in the year 2024. Let's fast forward. What's going on in 2024? We have clade 2, however you pronounce it. Primarily found Central Africa, Democratic Republic of Congo. This is where, again, when my video yesterday, I talked, hey, Austin, how's it going? My video yesterday, I talked about where this most recent outbreak was. Democratic Republic of Congo, associated with more disease, higher mortality rates, up to 10%. So the 2022 version, the rate was 1%. And this is fairly wise. 2024 version, the mortality rate is up to 10%. Again, it's not, I'm not saying this. It's not me that's saying it. It's the data that's saying it. Transmission, essentially the same. And this one, again, is more virulent, with higher replication and it's more lethal, right? So this is always the danger, right? Always the danger, right? And again, I know I see a lot of people talking about COVID. Again, we are focusing on, let me see here. We are focusing on monkeypox right now. So when you have, and I'll just talk about a disease. When you have a disease, you're concerned for a few things. How quickly can this disease spread? How can this disease spread? And if I do happen to get it, what's the likelihood of it taking me out? Those are usually the factors associated with any disease. So you have, in 2022, you have a version that the likelihood of it spreading to someone was less. The likelihood of it spreading and you becoming symptomatic, less. The likelihood of you, if you happen to get it and it killed you, was less. That was 2022 version. WHO says, you know what, we got to do a global health emergency because I'm seeing a strain that spreads faster, spreads more, kills more, right? That's a concern. That is a concern for us, right? Now, again, this is in Sweden. Everyone's outside. Am I telling you that a strain may come to the United States? No, I don't know. That. I can't tell you if a strain is going to come here. I'm just saying that if I said, I'm being naive and assuming anyone who's watching me is in the United States. If you're not, if you're outside the United States watching this, put a comment. But if you are in the United States, we just have to think okay, we just need to keep an eye on this. We should keep an eye on this. That's the question I'm asking. So people are asking about travel. So should I not travel? Should I not travel to Asia the next month? Supposed to be there every month. So when we talk about, and I'm assuming let's say we're only focused on monkeypox right now. We're not seeing necessary spread, and we're not seeing spread throughout Asia. We're not seeing that yet. But we do know that, yes, there is the delay. There is a delay of reports of it finally showing up. So am I saying that there is going to be no cases over there in Asia? No, right? Because you have to ask yourself, all right, where would it come from? Someone would have had to be traveling in this area here first and then take it over to Asia, take it to the United States. They'd have, this is the original location. They got to be coming from here. It just has to happen. They have to be coming from here. So just understand that, of course, with all travel, right, we have to be concerned about, any diseases that may be endemic, aka typically lives in that area. And more importantly, we may have to deal with a disease that may have traveled to that area. So if the percentage, right, if the likely chance of a disease being endemic is already high over there, then yeah, you gotta worry about it. If it's a very low percentage that disease, now we're talking about monkeypox, lives there, again, yes, it's going to be a low chance that you're going to have to deal with it unless some huge spread occurs over the next month. And that's why we're talking now, because it's very early, y'all. This is very early in the awareness stage. A lot of us, when we follow up here, this is a very early aspect of it, right? So you don't want to know about these things after they hit, right? You want people to be talking about it hey, by the way, we might want to keep an eye on that. So obviously just be safe, right? Just be safe, right? And I have, I have a little infographic on there if you want to know, because I saw someone ask for mortality rates. And again, it depends on the strain, depends on severity. Monkeypox ranges from 1%, which was the version 2 that caused the outbreak in 2022. This one, they're talking closer to 10%, right? So it's a 1 to 10% range. So it is concern there. It is an issue there that we have to worry about in that regards, because that is what it is. So you have these issues, right? And again, like I said, there's diagnosis, there's treatment. Again, the pictures. I would, unless you have a strong stomach, unless you don't have a strong stomach, I would just Google what some pictures of monkeypox looks like, because it could be very concerning, right? Especially if you've never seen it and you're like, whoa, is that what that is? Just to get a visual picture, right? Because I think a lot of times, especially here in this country, I'm talking about United States right now, here in this country, the visual picture is a little bit more visceral for us, right? And like, if we can see something, all of a sudden we believe it a little bit more, right? We like, oh, that's what that's supposed to be. Versus, with COVID, right? People don't know what COVID looks like. You can't spot a COVID person from a mile away. So you don't think like, oh, can't be that serious if I can't look at it, right? But a lot of people who looked at those monkeypox pictures were like, whoa, like that's what monkeypox looks like. I don't want no parts of it. So again, right now we're just kind of reporting the news. We're gonna get re-educated. Again, I don't want people to be canceling traveling plans unless you happen to be going to an area that like the rate is super high. Like if you were planning on going to the Democratic of Congo right now, I don't know. If that was me, I'd probably be putting a pause on that trip. I would be probably putting a pause on that trip if I happen to be going in that area. That's me, right? It's just like, so I'm not saying don't go to these places. I'm just saying that if you're going to go, understand where you're going, right? Understand where you're going, understand what the diagnostic like symptoms are there in case you thinking, all right, this might be it. And then understanding like, all right, what are my treatment options? Like if I do happen to get it, and then what's the likelihood that this might take me out? Like these are just things that we want to just kind of ask ourselves, right? Again, we're not asking people to turn into scientists and doctors and understand the pathophys of how we're not asking all that. We just want as many people to be as educated as possible, understand where they need to, get their information, good information as possible so that they are prepared if these things happen, right? Because again, a lot of people on my video for the WHO, a lot of people quickly shot it down. People are telling me, like, you probably see some comments here. People are telling me that the credibility of the world, let's think about this, y'all. Imagine the gall you have to say that the credibility of the World Health Organization has taken a hit, or the CDC, right? Imagine what type of gall you have like to say that, right? And be confident in it too. Be confident, right? Like it's comical. It's comical more than anything else. More than anything else, it's comical, but it is what it is, right? This is the type of country people will believe what they want to believe. It doesn't even have to be truthful. But if they really believe that there's some, because I posted the meme. That someone said, "Oh, people aren't scared of COVID anymore, so let's talk about monkeypox," right? Like people, like that's what's so wild to me, right? They are actually thinking that you have these international organizations who are plotting to take over your freedom. And again, we're in the United States, but it happens across the world, right? Like some of these United States citizens, like they think international organizations are plotting on Zoom calls to take over your freedom. So now they're going to quote unquote scare you and say, "Oh my God, this monkeypox. I don't know, y'all. I'd be. You know what? Let's just put an emergency to scare the people like that." This is how people who are like educated kind of like will take some of y'all words. So, but again, we do not worry about that, right? We just need to know, all right, how do I make sure that I myself, my family, right, is as educated as possible, and prepared as possible wherever that thing needs to happen, right? So again, right now in the United States, if you're my United States watcher, we are keeping an eye on it, but there's no direct concern right now. We're keeping an eye, but there's no direct concern. So we don't have to be concerned right now, but we got to keep an eye on it because, like I said, it was in Africa. Again, because it was in Africa, it was because mind you, this strain has been causing a problem the whole year. We're in August. This is a strain that's been causing a problem all year. It's been affecting a lot of people this whole year. It's been killing a lot of people this whole year. it became a global health emergency because they were like, hold on, this may become a problem outside of other places. And then boom, here you go. Like, right. And I don't know if the WHO knew that Sweden already had a case. It's possible. But they're like, all right, you know what? Let's just put it out there. Let's just put it out there that, hey, this may be a problem. And again, for those who may need a quick refresher on monkeypox, I got my infographic right here. Monkeypox is a rare disease caused by an infection within the monkeypox virus. Part of the same family as smallpox, but not it. Endemic to Central and West Africa. So if we're thinking travel, if I'm going to be traveling in those areas, I got to be concerned. Animal hosts include rodents, non-human parasites, but obviously it causes some problems. And again, we got our 2 strains. The Congo Basin strain, that was the one that is causing problems right now. The West Africa strain, aka version 2, is less virulent, less transmissible, but still can be an issue, right? Up to 1% of people die, right? So it is very, 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 very interesting for us to keep an eye on what's going on, right? Like very, very, who's mostly at risk of contracting it. So obviously, I'm saying, first of all, for those who, especially if this is your first time joining a live like mine, I typically, especially when I talk about viruses or anything, like I typically find the same people. It's like almost like a Venn diagram. People who like don't believe in COVID, who are like anti-government and think that international organizations are plotting to take their freedom. So a lot of my comments will kind of filter and look like that. I don't want none of y'all to be concerned or surprised, right? Like, because I'm on YouTube. I got some YouTubers like that. Interesting enough, on LinkedIn, mind you, LinkedIn, I guess, I forget which post it was. I forget who I was talking about. Oh, I was talking about the late Dr. Putar, who was an anti-COVID vaxxer. He's a big liar. And I was getting on him for lying. They found me on LinkedIn too. So I don't want y'all to be concerned about the comment section about like, oh my God, they're talking about it's an election year. Like, don't be concerned about it. It's not an issue whatsoever. Like, we're here to educate. Like, we'll be fine. Shoot ourselves like that. That's funny. So yeah. So we have. Sorry. So someone asked the at risk, right? So who's at risk? Immunocompromised. We know skin to skin contact is always a big concern. So that's where when we talk about the sexually transmitted aspect of this disease, that's there because obviously there's skin to skin contact in that regard, right? So how does it spread? Direct contact, respiratory precautions, touching items, not shown to be spread via semen or vaginal fluid. So even though I say sexual contact, it's usually because when y'all having sex, y'all are close, y'all are rubbing around, right? So we can understand like that the sexual contact aspect of it. It's not via sex, aka semen, vaginal fluids. It's because of all of the skin to skin contact that is there. And I got a lot of videos on monkeypox. If you search my name and monkeypox, you'll see a whole bunch of my videos that have popped up regarding the conversation. For those who may need like a quick refresher. And again, I suggest if you want to catch my infographic, it is a free infographic. I think you just had to give me your email address. It is on my page, link in bio, or go to drbarrypierre.com and go to the infographics tab under resources, and then you'll find it. Everything's free. So yeah, like I said, we're just here to educate. We're just here to, bring some awareness. For those who may be catching it live, what are we talking about? Sweden confirmed its first case of monkeypox with this most recent strain. Not the first case. I want to make sure even though the wording is kind of weird, it's not the first case of monkeypox in Sweden. It's the first case of monkeypox based on this most significant strain that caused the World Health Organization to declare a public health emergency. I got a video on that. Check the profile. There's a video on that. And what we're just saying is, hey, by the way, like it's out in Sweden, but if you're in the United States, some of the, we want to keep an eye on that. We don't want to be surprised by that. And if we need a refresher on monkeypox, I do have an infographic on the website for that. Regardless of, again, and I know people, especially if you look at my comment section, I know people are gonna be like, oh, it's a conspiracy. I saw some people say it's an election year. I can assure you, international organizations are not teaming up to take your right away to go to a football game. I can assure you that. Like, it's not happening. I know you may want that to occur. I know you may want to believe that these international organizations are ganging up to make sure that you have to wear a mask. It's not happening. It's just the reality we live in. We're outside. Yes, the world is big, but we travel a lot. So these things can occur. It can occur, right? So we're going to be talking a lot about it this week. I just wanted to make sure I hopped on a live. Usually I do these things in the evening. But with Sweeten, with that post about, I'm like, you know what? Let me just do a day. Let me just, someone says too few study genetics, virology, chemistry. No, you know what? Yeah, you know what's funny? I like that comment. And that's how someone said. Let me quell some fear. No lockdown is coming. Y'all, I'm in the United States, so let me stress that. In the United States, we are not locking down. Like, so we can kill any concerns about a lockdown. This country is likely never locking down again. And it's not unless I won't even go that route. This country is, hopefully I'm not alive. Because if some disease pops up where this country has to lock down again, hopefully, but I can assure you, we're not locking down because of this. We are no, we're just not. It's just not happening. It just isn't, right? Because, we have, for a couple reasons, right? For a couple reasons, I can answer some of the reasons. One, this is not a new disease like COVID was. We have, we know how this disease works, unlike how COVID was. We have treatment options, unlike COVID in the beginning, right? So we got a lot of factors that I can tell you is not going to be a lockdown. So at least I can, for my conspiracy theorists on the chat, hopefully I can at least calm your fear that someone's going to lock you down from going to a baseball game. That's not going to happen. So your baseball game is safe. Your football game is, I know football season is coming up. That's safe. You guys don't have to worry about that. That's not the issue from that standpoint there. Someone said, am I spreading this info? No, I'm spreading it because it is something we need to keep an eye on, especially if you're here in the United States. Because if the strain happened, again, just like the strain happened in 2022, where we did have an outbreak that jumped here to the United States, I don't want us to be shocked or surprised and not realize, like, oh my God, I didn't know, like, where did this come from, right? So W.H.O. Yesterday announced public health, global health emergency. Sweden says, hey, we got our first case over here. So I don't want none of us to be shocked, surprised, or think that there's some conspiracy theory going on if it happens to happen. World Health Organization, WHO, World Health Organization. So I don't want no conspiracy theorists to like run amok, going crazy, saying the government's trying to steal your liberties again, right? I don't want that to occur, right? And again, like I said, when we have practice, like I said, we us healthcare professionals, the virologists, we had practice of it because we saw how y'all acted during COVID. We saw how y'all acted during that 2022 breakout. We saw it, so we kind of know like what to expect from the other side because they don't necessarily change their playbook. Like they run the same playbook over and over again. So we just got to be able to understand that if it does come, we will be prepared for it. We will understand what things we need to do to try to prevent it from spreading and understand that there are options available there for treatment. Right. So I'm about to hop out of here. Right. Shout out to my anti-vaxxers folks who joined in the chat. Shout out to my anti-government folks who joined in the chat. But more importantly, shout out to the people who came to get some education, came to learn a bit of stuff. Like I said, we'll be posting throughout the week because I already know we're gonna have to post throughout the week because that's what typically goes down when something like this occurs. Remember, if you do want an infographic, I do have a free one on my website, drbarrypierre.com, or go under resources or just link in bio and you'll find your way there. So y'all be blessed.